watching Bottom Line Africa, a high-level stakeholder meeting between United Nations agencies in conjunction with IGAD is currently taking place in Nairobi to discuss the development of Africa's borderlands. John Kabayo, who is the coordinator IGAD Drought Resilience Initiative, and Zeynu Ummer, UNDP Africa Borderlands Center team lead and senior technical advisor, now join us live from the venue of that meeting to talk more about the importance of monitoring Africa's borderlands. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on Bottom Line Africa. Maybe I'll start with you, Zeynu. What exactly is the situation on the ground when it comes to borderland communities?
Thank you very much, for hosting us for this very important question. And communities in Africa borderlands are sources of ingenuity, and these communities in Africa borderlands are very creative and dynamic and the most resilient amidst all the multidimensional challenges they face. And of course, enormous potential for natural and human resources. But due to historical marginalization and lack of policy attention and structural gap, the communities are facing multidimensional challenges. These challenges include violent conflict, including violent extremism, because many of the violent extremist groups operating at the global scale are hosted in this many of the Africa borderlands, and they are becoming the source of instability at the global scale. And at the same time, the communities in Africa borderlands are also facing the challenges of climatic impacts, climate change impacts. They are also really facing abject poverty, especially the youth and women. The youth, exposed to a lot of delinquency and unemployment. The services in Africa borderlands are very limited. State presence or very limited statehood in these areas. And so these challenges are enormous, and I think they need a lot of attention. The most important also gap in this area is we don't have clear understanding. We are not, as a stakeholder, global stakeholders, we are not reading on the same page because of lack of adequate knowledge and understanding in Africa borderlands dynamics. A structural gap is also one of the key challenges because most of the development and policy initiatives are territorially bounded, and whereas the challenges, multidimensional challenges, are regional in nature. So these are the critical situations that I can explain. Thank you.
Okay, all right. I'll coming to you, John. Of course, Zeynu has talked about the fact that these borderland communities have enormous potential, but there are also gaps, and also there's lack of clear understanding of the borderland communities. Why is that?
Well, IGAD has been in the forefront of trying to mobilize action for these areas because, as Mr. Umar pointed out, they've been neglected for quite some time. They are very distant from most capitals, so they are kind of out of sight, and they are in the throes of various challenges, especially drought and desertification, and of course, they have a disproportionate number of immigrants from other countries. So they have real issues that confront them. And they've been, IGAD has been now trying to develop programs that are tailor-made for those types of situations, among which is the IGAD Drought Disaster Resilience and Sustainability Initiative, IDRISI, which is now being implemented in a number of countries, including some of those border areas.
Okay. All right, Zeynu, coming to you, of course, how best can we solve this issue?
Well, UNDP actually, together with IGAD and other regional African Union and other development actors, should come together to resolve those problems. The first thing should be recognition, both in terms of programming and policy. But there needs to be due attention to these communities. If these communities are denied attention both at the policy and the programming level, definitely they will not be, they will be taken by others, like especially the used by the extremist groups. But if we give them recognition and attention and attract investment to those areas, these are very resilient people and very dynamic and creative people, innovative people. There are a lot of indigenous innovations that are hidden. If we really work hard to unleash those innovative ideas within the dynamic community, definitely there is a high chance to develop those areas, attract investment, including investment by the public, by the development actors, and of course, ultimately by the private sector. So if we do this, definitely these communities can have a chance to change the narrative of this community into a development and a very positive aspect of it, and definitely we will have a clear chance of that. So Africa Borderlands is actually is established with the aim to bring this initiative, to bring the whole stakeholders, global stakeholders together so that the voice of the communities in Africa Borderlands is heard, they get real recognition and attention both at the policy level and program level. So we are doing to create a clear understanding of this. We are doing research, and of course we are doing programming. So we are there. We organize ourselves in two major pillars, namely thinking better and doing better, because the challenges in the Africa Borderlands are immense and very deep. Unless and otherwise we think deeper than the depth of the problem, definitely it might not be possible to achieve the sustainable development goal in 10 years in action. So we need to create a more articulated knowledge, and then so that we can understand, we can read as stakeholders, read on the same page, and intervene quickly to action so that we can improve the lives of the communities in Africa Borderlands. Second, we need to do better in a better way. We need to converge our energy, we need to converge our knowledge and our resource together, like what we are doing with IGAD, UNDP and IGAD are doing, so that we can address those multi-dimensional challenges in a very multi-stakeholder approach. Thank you very much.
All right, John, coming to you, of course, Zeynu talked about one thing that is coming up with policies that can help, open up these areas, the borderland communities. But then how do we ensure that these policies or even strategies that come out are effectively implemented?
IGAD has the power to convene the member states that house those borderlands and to bring them to discuss issues that concern them. IGAD also has the expertise on climate prediction and conflict resolution and has various development endeavors. So a combination of these would be brought to the attention of the member states that house the borderlands, and the policies that are required will be developed. IGAD also has a role to mobilize partners such as UNDP and other partners who will bring their attention to the plight of the communities in these borderlands, and ensure that interventions that are necessary to touch their problems are started. Back to you.
All right, Zeynu, coming back to you, of course, the issue of security is also a big challenge. How do we address that? For example, I'll give an example of the Kenya-Somalia border. These communities living around that area are always prone to attacks from Al-Shabaab. How do we deal with this?
Yes, thank you very much. This is a very critical question, actually very important. Governance in Africa is a very critical challenge, and of course borderlands are not immune from this lack of good governance, especially in terms of creating peace and security in this region. Borderlands, in the absence of or in the spaces of limited statehood, definitely you can expect the challenge of peace and security. So we have, unless and otherwise, we go innovative way to create, to revisit, to reimagine our governance system. Because we Africans do have a lot of traditional way of managing our communities at the community level, a lot of wisdoms. So including the exploration of those traditional wisdoms so that we can bring them to a modern kind of governance system to protect the communities, to work with local governments and national governments and multiple stakeholders in terms of enhancing the capacity of the communities themselves. And through developmental approach, definitely we can there is an enormous opportunity to stabilize the communities in Africa borderlands, because but it must be only through the involvement of the communities themselves, through enhancing of the capacity of the communities themselves, so that towards development instead of, violence and actually radicalism and violent extremism. Thank you very much.
All right, John, as we conclude, what should we expect from this meeting that is currently taking place?
What we hope is that there be a concrete partnership struck between IGAD and UNDP, and that a real plan of action will be developed to give attention to these areas, essentially to promote investment in these areas. Because what is lacking really is investment at all levels. And the combination of IGAD and UNDP, I believe, will go a long way towards achieving this objective. The joint action between UNDP and IGAD will also be brought to the attention of other partners, and of course the member states will also be mobilized. But the action is now, and I think the idea that these areas now have finally attracted the attention of the world as probably the last bastion of vulnerable communities is one of the obligations we have to do to ensure that they really get the attention they need. But to begin with, the joint action of UNDP and IGAD would be a good way to begin. Back to you.
All right, thank you very much. A good place to end it. John Kabayo, their coordinator, the IGAD Drought Resilience Initiative. Also, Zeynu Ummer, the UNDP Africa Borderlands Center team lead and senior technical advisors. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for taking time off that meeting to have a conversation on how best we can ensure that borderland communities get equal opportunities as urban areas and also rural areas. But to Somalia now. The Republic of Somaliland recently undertook joint